Blackstone Audio presents Memories and Adventures by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This book is read by Simon Vance.
Chapter 1. Early Recollections. I was born on May the 22nd, 1859, at Piccadilly Place, Edinburgh, so named because in old days a colony of French Huguenots had settled there. At the time of their coming it was a village outside the city walls, but now it is at the end of Queen Street, abutting upon Leith Walk. When last I visited it, it seemed to have degenerated, but at that time the flats were of good repute. My father was the youngest son of John Doyle, who under the nom de crayon of H.B. made a great reputation in London from about 1825 to 1850. He came from Dublin about the year 1815, and may be said to be the father of polite caricature, for in the old days satire took the brutal shape of making the object grotesque in features and figure. Gilray and Rowlandson had no other idea. My grandfather was a gentleman, drawing gentleman for gentleman, and the satire lay in the wit of the picture and not in the misdrawing of faces. This was a new idea, but it has been followed by most caricaturists since, and so has become familiar. There were no comic papers in those days, and the weekly cartoon of H.B. was lithographed and distributed. He exerted, I am told, quite an influence upon politics, and was on terms of intimacy with many of the leading men of the day. I can remember him in his old age, a very handsome and dignified man, with features of the strong Anglo-Irish Duke of Wellington stamp. He died in 1868. My grandfather was left a widower, with a numerous family, of which 4 boys and 1 girl survived. Each of the boys made a name for himself, for all inherited the artistic powers of their father. The elder, James Doyle, wrote The Chronicles of England, illustrated with coloured pictures by himself, examples of colour printing which beat any subsequent work that I have ever seen. He also spent 13 years in doing The Official Baronage of England, a wonderful monument of industry and learning. Another brother was Henry Doyle, a great judge of old paintings, and in later years the manager of the National Gallery in Dublin, where he earned his C.B. The third son was Richard Doyle, whose whimsical humour made him famous in Punch, the cover of which, with its dancing elves, is still so familiar an object. Finally came Charles Doyle, my father. The Doyle family seem to have been fairly well-to-do, thanks to my grandfather's talents. They lived in London in Cambridge Terrace. A sketch of their family life is given in Dickie Doyle's diary. They lived up to their income, however, and it became necessary to find places for the boys.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?